In a small, quaint town nestled between dense woods, there stood an old Victorian house with an unsettling reputation. The locals spoke in hushed tones about the place, claiming it harbored a darkness that transcended the creaking floorboards and faded wallpaper. The Forrester house, as it was known, sat in eerie silence, waiting for unsuspecting souls to step into its shadowed embrace. The Forrester house found new inhabitants in the Turner family. Sarah, a widowed mother, and her 6-year-old daughter, Emily, sought solace in the old Victorian after the tragic loss of Sarah's husband. The town, aware of the house's history, reluctantly welcomed the newcomers, their eyes following the pair as they cautiously entered the silent abode. As night fell, a palpable unease settled over the Forrester house. The walls seemed to whisper secrets of the past, and shadows danced in the corners of the rooms. Emily, oblivious to the ominous atmosphere, explored the nooks and crannies, her innocent laughter echoing through the empty halls. The house, it seemed, responded to her presence with an unsettling stillness, as if holding its breath. In the days that followed, Emily spoke of an unseen playmate, Lily. Sarah dismissed it as a child's imagination, seeking companionship in a new and unfamiliar place. However, the peculiar occurrences could not be ignored. Toys moving on their own, faint giggles echoing in empty rooms, and the unsettling feeling of being watched. Sarah, torn between rationality and a mother's intuition, tried to reassure herself that the house's reputation was merely a local legend. One night, as the moon cast an ethereal glow through the dusty windows, Emily insisted on hosting a tea party for Lily. Sarah, indulging her daughter's imagination, played along, arranging an empty tea set on the dusty living room floor. The air thickened with an unseen presence, and the temperature dropped as the room transformed into an eerie tableau. Sarah's attempts to dismiss the mounting unease were shattered when the teacups rattled on their own, and a spectral giggle resonated through the air. In the attic, Emily discovered an old dollhouse, forgotten and dusty. Its miniature rooms mirrored the Forrester house in uncanny detail. Intrigued, Emily played for hours, arranging the tiny furniture and imagining the lives of the miniature inhabitants. Unbeknownst to Sarah, the dollhouse seemed to hold a mysterious connection to the house itself, as if bridging the gap between the tangible and the ethereal. As the days turned into weeks, the Forrester house revealed its darker nature. Shadows lengthened into grotesque shapes, and whispers escalated into faint cries that only Emily seemed attuned to. Sarah, her own unease growing, tried to maintain a semblance of normalcy, but the house's grip tightened, and the boundaries between reality and the supernatural blurred. One evening, Sarah caught a glimpse of a fractured reflection in the antique mirror. Distorted faces and twisted figures stared back at her, their eyes filled with sorrow and longing. The air became heavy with a sorrowful lament that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the Forrester house. Sarah, unable to shake the feeling of being a guest in her own home, began to question the wisdom of seeking refuge in a place so steeped in unsettling history. As the clock struck midnight, a haunting lullaby drifted through the house. Sarah rushed to Emily's room, only to find her peacefully asleep. The source of the spectral melody remained elusive, and Sarah, now consumed by a growing dread, struggled to maintain composure. The Forrester house, it seemed, had awakened a malevolent force that sought solace through the innocent soul of a child. In the dead of night, Sarah was drawn to the attic by an unseen force. The dollhouse, once forgotten, now commanded her attention. The miniature rooms mirrored the Forrester house in an unsettling display of supernatural mimicry. A voice, neither malevolent nor benevolent, whispered demands into Sarah's consciousness. The house hungered for acknowledgement, for the recognition of the tragedy that had unfolded within its walls. Haunted by the demands of the house, Sarah delved into the town archives, desperate to uncover the forgotten tragedy that bound the Forrester house to its malevolent fate. The townsfolk, reluctant to discuss the house's history, reluctantly revealed fragments of a dark tale involving a family torn apart, by secrets, betrayal, and a tragic loss that left the Forrester house cursed for generations. As Sarah unraveled the threads of the past, the Forrester house seemed to awaken, replaying the tragic events that had stained its walls with sorrow. Ghostly apparitions moved through the rooms, reenacting scenes of anguish and despair. Sarah, now a reluctant witness to the spectral drama, could feel the weight of the past pressing down upon her, demanding acknowledgement, and perhaps a chance at redemption. In the attic, Sarah discovered an old journal hidden beneath dusty crates. The journal belonged to Lily, a young girl from the 19th century who had once lived in the Forrester house. The entries chronicled a life marred by tragedy, the loss of parents, a forbidden love, and an untimely death that left Lily's spirit bound to the house, yearning for a connection with the living. Lily's journal revealed a chilling truth. A ritual gone awry had trapped her spirit within the Forrester house, forging an unholy bond between the living and the dead. The spectral playmate Emily spoke of was none other than Lily, a restless soul seeking solace through the companionship of the living. The demands Sarah had sensed were Lily's desperate attempts to break free from the curse that bound her to the house. Determined to free both Lily and her daughter from the malevolent grasp of the Forrester house, Sarah, armed with newfound knowledge, conducted a midnight seance. The living and the dead converged as Sarah, Emily, and the ghostly apparitions gathered in the living room. The air crackled with supernatural energy as Sarah, guided by the words of Lily's journal, sought to unravel the curse that held them all captive. In the midst of the seance, the threads of fate became tangled. Lily's sorrowful spirit, Emily's innocent presence, and the lingering tragedy of the Forrester house converged in a symphony of spectral energy. The boundaries between the living and the dead blurred, and the house itself seemed to groan under the weight of its malevolent history. As the clock struck midnight, an otherworldly force surged through the Forrester house. Chains that bound Lily's spirit shattered, and the spectral reenactments ceased. The atmosphere, once oppressive, lifted, and a profound stillness settled over the old Victorian. The house, it seemed, had finally relinquished its hold on the living and the dead. In the aftermath of the seance, the Forrester house transformed. No longer a malevolent entity, it stood as a witness to the echoes of redemption that had unfolded within its walls. Lily's spirit, freed from the shackles of the cursed ritual, found solace in the arms of the ethereal realm. Emily, now aware of the spectral playmate's tragic history, felt an inexplicable connection to the house that had become a vessel for both sorrow and redemption. With Lily's spirit at peace, the wounds that had scarred the Forrester house began to heal. The shadows retreated, and the spectral whispers softened into a gentle breeze. Sarah, Emily, and the house itself emerged from the ethereal journey forever changed. The town, witnessing the transformation, could sense the weight of the old Victorian's history lifting, as if a chapter of darkness had finally yielded to the dawn of a new understanding. As the days turned into weeks, a deceptive calm settled over the Forrester house. The once ethereal presence of Lily lingered, leaving behind a faint trace of melancholy in the air. Shadows, though subdued, still danced in the corners of the rooms, a reminder that the supernatural had left an indelible mark on the Victorian dwelling. Sarah, Emily, and the townsfolk, despite the newfound understanding, couldn't shake the feeling that the house held secrets yet unrevealed. One rainy afternoon, Emily discovered an old chest in the attic, hidden beneath moth-eaten blankets and forgotten relics. As she opened the creaking lid, a spectral glow emanated from within. The artifact, a weathered family heirloom, seemed to pulsate with ethereal energy. Sarah, recognizing the heirloom from Lily's journal, realized it held the key to fully breaking the shackles of the cursed ritual that had bound the Forrester house for generations. Sarah, guided by the residual energy of the artifact, embarked on a journey to unravel the remaining ethereal threads that clung to the Forrester house. The townsfolk, sensing a shift in the supernatural currents, watched as Sarah delved into the hidden recesses of the old Victorian, determined to confront the lingering shadows and ensure that the newfound peace within the Forrester house remained unmarred. As midnight approached, the Forrester house seemed to awaken once more. Shadows thickened, and the air crackled with ethereal energy. Sarah, standing in the heart of the living room, held the artifact aloft. A spectral wind whispered through the halls, carrying with it the echoes of long-forgotten sorrow. The artifact, a conduit to the ethereal realm, invited the remnants of the cursed ritual to reveal themselves and be cast into the abyss. The remnants of the cursed ritual resisted the ethereal unraveling. Spectral apparitions materialized, their faces etched with grief and defiance. The Forrester house groaned under the strain of the supernatural forces at play. Sarah, steadfast in her determination, called upon the townsfolk for support. Together, they formed a circle around the artifact, a barrier against the ethereal resistance that sought to maintain its grasp on the Victorian dwelling. In a climactic surge of ethereal energy, the artifact absorbed the remnants of the cursed ritual. The Forrester house trembled as the shadows recoiled, and a blinding light enveloped the living room. The townsfolk, united in purpose, felt the weight of the supernatural resistance dissipate. As the clock struck midnight, the artifact, now free of its malevolent burden, pulsed with a serene glow. The Forrester house stood silent, its once haunted halls now cleansed of the lingering curse. With the breaking of the curse, a renewed peace settled over the Forrester house. Shadows retreated into oblivion, and the walls ceased their whispers. Sarah, Emily, and the townsfolk felt the tangible shift in the atmosphere, a transformation that marked the conclusion of the ethereal unraveling. The Victorian dwelling, now free from the shackles of its cursed history, stood as a beacon of resilience and redemption. In the days that followed, the Forrester house underwent a metamorphosis. The faded wallpaper regained its luster, and the floorboards ceased their ominous creaking. The artifact, now a symbol of triumph over the supernatural, found a place of honor in the living room. Sarah and Emily, their bond strengthened by the shared journey, embraced the newfound tranquility that enveloped their once uncertain abode. Despite the renewed peace that settled over the Forrester house, lingering echoes of the ethereal journey persisted. Sarah, Emily, and the townsfolk couldn't escape the feeling that the supernatural currents had merely retreated, biding their time in the unseen corners of the Victorian dwelling. Whispers in the wind hinted at a residual presence, a spectral residue that clung to the very essence of the transformed abode. As the days passed, Sarah delved deeper into the history of the Forrester house, seeking to unveil any remaining secrets that might linger within its walls. Old photographs, hidden compartments, and forgotten letters revealed fragments of untold stories. Tales of forbidden love, family feuds, and the tragic events that had intertwined the fates of the living and the dead. The newfound revelations hinted at a complex tapestry of supernatural entanglements that transcended generations. One stormy night, the Forrester house underwent an unexpected transformation. The ethereal currents, once thought to be vanquished, surged back with renewed vigor. Shadows thickened, and spectral whispers crescendoed in a haunting symphony. Sarah, Emily, and the townsfolk, now attuned to the supernatural rhythms, felt the unsettling resurgence of ethereal forces that defied the boundaries of time and space. In the heart of the ethereal resurgence, Emily began experiencing spectral visions that transcended the confines of the present. Images of bygone eras flashed before her eyes. The Victorian era, the Roaring Twenties, and a spectral figure that seemed to bridge the gap between the living and the dead. Sarah, alarmed by her daughter's cryptic visions, sought the guidance of the townsfolk, hoping to decipher the enigmatic messages that Emily seemed destined to convey. The townsfolk, with their collective knowledge of the Forrester house's history, uncovered a startling revelation. The spectral visions that Emily experienced unveiled a tapestry of time-entwined threads, connecting the supernatural forces of the past to the present. The Victorian dwelling, it seemed, harbored not only the echoes of its own history, but also the residual energy of ethereal events that transcended the linear constraints of time. As the ethereal resurgence intensified, The spirits of the Forrester house's past converged in a spectral gathering that defied the laws of the mortal realm. Lily, the tragic figure from the 19th century, stood alongside apparitions from various eras, their faces etched with the weight of untold stories. The Forrester house, now a conduit for the convergence of spirits, became a focal point for the town's journey through the ethereal dimensions. Through the spectral convergence, the spirits communicated a sense of unfinished business that transcended the bounds of their individual tragedies. The Forrester house, it appeared, held the key to resolving the unresolved conflicts that bound the spectral entities to the mortal realm. Sarah, guided by the interconnected threads of time and ethereal energy, embarked on a quest to uncover the lingering mysteries that veiled the spirits in perpetual unrest. Sarah, accompanied by Emily and the townsfolk, embarked on an ethereal quest that transcended the confines of the Forrester house. Guided by the spectral visions and the intertwined threads of time, they ventured into the heart of the supernatural forces that lingered in the town's history. The ethereal quest unfolded as a journey through forgotten eras, revealing the untold stories and unresolved conflicts that had left a spectral imprint on the living and the dead. As the ethereal quest reached its zenith, Sarah and the townsfolk confronted the unresolved conflicts that bound the spirits to the mortal realm. Forbidden love, familial betrayals, and long-buried secrets emerged from the shadows, demanding acknowledgement and resolution. The Forrester house, serving as the nexus of the spectral convergence, bore witness to the ethereal resolution that unfolded in a transcendent dance of spirits and emotions. With the acknowledgement of the unresolved conflicts, the ethereal currents began to shift. The spirits, their faces now marked with expressions of release and peace, dissipated into the unseen dimensions. The Forrester house, once again bathed in a serene glow, stood as a witness to the transformative power of spectral resolution. The shadows that had thickened during the ethereal resurgence now retreated, leaving behind a renewed sense of tranquility. As the town emerged from the ethereal quest, a timeless legacy unfolded. The Forrester house, though forever marked by its supernatural history, stood as a testament to the resilience of the living and the redemption of the departed. The intertwined threads of time, once entangled in spectral conflicts, now wove a tapestry of understanding and closure. Sarah, Emily, and the townsfolk, forever changed by the ethereal journey, embraced the timeless legacy that would linger in the quiet corners and faded wallpaper of the Victorian dwelling. Nestled at the edge of a desolate town stood an imposing structure, the Forgotten Manor. Abandoned for decades, its grandeur now faded into a haunting silhouette against the moonlit sky. Locals whispered of chilling apparitions and ghostly wails that echoed through its dilapidated halls. The townsfolk, too afraid to approach, dubbed it the Manor of Souls, where the line between the living and the dead blurred. Enter Emily Harper, an intrepid paranormal investigator drawn to the allure of the Manor of Souls. Armed with an arsenal of ghost-hunting equipment and fueled by an insatiable curiosity, Emily believed the Forgotten Manor held the key to unlocking mysteries that transcended the veil between the living and the dead. As she approached the foreboding gates, the air grew colder, and the distant howl of a lonesome wind set an ominous tone. Once inside the manor, Emily felt an otherworldly presence, a chorus of whispered shadows that danced along the walls. She navigated the dimly lit corridors, her flashlight flickering, as if guided by unseen hands. The manor seemed to come alive with a spectral energy, each creak and groan telling tales of the past. Unseen eyes watched Emily's every move, and the atmosphere thickened with an unsettling tension. In the grand ballroom, Emily witnessed haunting apparitions, figures from a bygone era locked in a spectral waltz. The ghostly dancers moved with an ethereal grace, their faces frozen in expressions of sorrow and despair. Emily's heart raced as she realized the tragic tales etched into the very fabric of the manor. The air grew heavy with the weight of unresolved histories, and Emily felt an inexplicable connection, to the tortured souls trapped within. As Emily delved deeper, the manor's ghostly inhabitants toyed with her senses. Candles flickered in unseen breezes, casting shifting shadows that played tricks on her mind. Eerie whispers surrounded her, revealing fragmented secrets of love and betrayal. The walls seemed to pulse with a spectral heartbeat, and Emily questioned her sanity as the boundaries between the living and the dead blurred further. In the manor's forgotten library, Emily encountered a malevolent presence. Books flew off shelves, and an icy wind whispered ancient incantations. A guttural growl echoed through the room, and Emily sensed a darkness that surpassed the sorrows of lost souls. The malevolent force seemed intent on driving her away, a warning to abandon the pursuit of long-buried secrets. Undeterred, Emily unearthed a series of forgotten diaries, hidden within the manor's decaying chambers. The yellowed pages chronicled tales of forbidden love, betrayal, and a tragic fire that claimed the lives of the manor's former residents. The more Emily learned, the more the ghostly apparitions intensified, their collective grief manifesting in an ethereal crescendo. Determined to bring peace to the tortured souls, Emily organized a séance in the heart of the manor. She gathered artifacts from the past, a locket, a tattered letter, and a charred piece of wood salvaged from the fire. As the séance began, the temperature plummeted and the air crackled with energy. The spirits, summoned from the depths of the supernatural, made their presence known. Through the séance, the spirits' voices resonated with heart-wrenching tales of love torn asunder and lives lost in the fiery embrace of tragedy. Emily, a conduit between the living and the dead, felt their pain and sought to offer solace. Yet, a malevolent force within the manor resisted the cathartic release, clinging to the darkness that had festered for generations. As Emily delved into the heart of the malevolence, she discovered a tormented spirit, a vengeful force that refused to let go of the anguish that bound it to the manor. The entity, fueled by a thirst for retribution, lashed out at Emily, its spectral form contorting with rage. The atmosphere crackled with a sinister energy as the confrontation between the living and the malevolent dead reached its climax. Undeterred by the malevolent force, Emily delved into the manor's history, uncovering a binding ritual that shackled the vengeful spirit to the mortal realm. The ritual, performed in the throes of desperation, had inadvertently trapped the entity in a never-ending cycle of torment. Armed with newfound knowledge, Emily embarked on a perilous journey to break the spectral chains that bound the vengeful force to the manor. In the manor's secret chamber, Emily discovered cursed relics tied to the binding ritual: a tattered veil worn by a grieving widow, a charred piece of wood from the fire, and a locket that once held the image of a lost love. Each relic pulsated with an ominous energy, and Emily understood that dismantling the ritual required confronting the tragedies that had spawned the malevolent force. Armed with the relics, Emily orchestrated a ghostly reenactment of the tragic events that had sealed the vengeful spirit's fate. The manor quivered as the past and present collided, and ghostly apparitions enacted the ill-fated love story that had birthed the malevolence. Emily, a spectral observer, intervened in the events, unraveling the twisted threads of sorrow that had woven a tapestry of despair. As the reenactment unfolded, Emily reached the breaking point of the binding ritual. The vengeful spirit, trapped in a vortex of memories and anguish, confronted the truth that had eluded it for decades. The manor trembled as the spectral chains that bound the entity began to shatter, and the malevolent force writhed in a maelstrom of conflicting emotions: anger, sorrow, and finally, acceptance. With a triumphant surge, Emily shattered the final remnants of the binding ritual. The malevolent force, its spectral form dissipating like smoke in the wind, let out a haunting wail that echoed through the manor's desolate halls. As the last vestiges of darkness vanished, a serene calm settled over the once haunted abode, and the manor seemed to exhale a sigh of relief. In the aftermath of the vanishing malevolence, the ghostly apparitions within the manor began to fade. The tortured souls, now unburdened by the chains of the binding ritual, found solace in the ethereal embrace of departure. The grand ballroom, once a stage for spectral waltzes, grew silent, and the ghostly echoes that had haunted the corridors dwindled into whispers carried away by the wind. As the days passed, the forgotten manor underwent a transformation. The once desolate abode, now free from the shackles of malevolence, exuded a tranquil aura. Locals, cautiously drawn back to the manor, marveled at the newfound serenity that replaced the spectral unease. Emily, having unraveled the mysteries that bound the living and the dead, left the town with a sense of fulfillment and closure. The tale of Emily's encounter with the forgotten manor became woven into the fabric of local folklore. The townsfolk, once afraid to approach the haunted abode, now regarded it with a mixture of reverence and awe. The legacy of the manor, though haunted by tragedy, echoed with the triumph of resilience and the possibility of finding peace beyond the veil of the supernatural. Though the malevolence had lifted, a lingering presence remained within the walls of the forgotten manor. Residents reported a subtle feeling of being watched, and occasional shadows flickered in the corners of rooms. The town, though grateful for the newfound peace, couldn't entirely shake the sense that the manor held secrets not entirely laid to rest. As weeks passed, a peculiar occurrence unfolded. The townsfolk, passing by the manor at dusk, glimpsed an ethereal figure standing in the uppermost window, a silhouette that seemed to be watching over the town with a benevolent gaze. Speculation spread about the identity of this unseen guardian, with some whispering that it was the spirit of a long-lost caretaker or a guardian angel protecting the town from malevolent forces. Residents began reporting ominous dreams, visions of a bygone era, echoing the tragedies that had unfolded within the manor's walls. The dreams felt like a spectral tapestry, weaving together the threads of sorrow and redemption. Some embraced these dreams as a means of connecting with the past, while others feared they were a forewarning of an unresolved darkness that still clung to the town. News of the lingering mysteries surrounding the manor reached the ears of renowned paranormal investigator Samuel Carter. Intrigued by the town's history, he decided to delve into the spectral enigmas that continue to shroud the forgotten manor. Samuel's arrival stirred a mix of anticipation and unease among the townsfolk, who wondered if the malevolence had truly been banished, or if it lurked in the shadows, awaiting another reckoning. Samuel's investigation revealed intricacies not previously explored. He uncovered forgotten documents and journals, delving into the lives of the manor's former residents. As he pieced together the unraveling threads of the past, a complex narrative emerged, one entwined with forbidden love, betrayal, and an ancient curse that transcended generations. In the midst of Samuel's investigation, an unforeseen malevolent force began to stir. Shadows lengthened, and spectral echoes returned with an unsettling intensity. The town, which had begun to recover from its haunted history, once again found itself ensnared in a supernatural web. Samuel, undeterred by the ominous turn of events, pressed on, determined to uncover the truth that lay hidden beneath the manor's facade. As Samuel delved deeper, he experienced ethereal whispers that seemed to guide, or misguide, his path. The spectral voices spoke in riddles, hinting at truths obscured by time. The townsfolk, increasingly on edge, couldn't shake the feeling that the malevolence, once thought banished, was orchestrating a resurgence that threatened to plunge Raven's Hollow into a new era of spectral unrest. Samuel's investigation led him to unearth ancient artifacts, each holding a piece of the manor's troubled past. A mysterious amulet, a faded portrait, and a weathered diary became focal points in his quest for understanding. However, as he delved into the significance of these relics, the malevolent force within the manor seemed to react, intensifying its grip on the town and Samuel himself. The artifacts, once dormant, radiated an otherworldly energy that twisted the fates of those who possessed them. Dreams grew more ominous, and shadows clung to the edges of reality. The town, ensnared in a web of tangled fates, teetered on the precipice of a new supernatural reckoning. Samuel, wrestling with the malevolent force, questioned whether the pursuit of the manor's secrets had inadvertently unleashed a darkness that sought retribution. As the malevolent force gained strength, reality fractured within the town. Unseen hands seemed to manipulate the fabric of existence, and Raven's Hollow became a surreal landscape where the living and the dead coexisted in an uneasy dance. Samuel, grappling with the shifting realities, faced the daunting task of unraveling the mysteries that bound the manor to the supernatural forces that defied conventional understanding. With each passing day, the haunting reckoning intensified. The town of Raven's Hollow found itself trapped in a nightmarish tapestry woven by the malevolent force. The streets echoed with ghostly whispers, and ethereal apparitions manifested in broad daylight. Samuel, burdened by the weight of his investigations, sought allies among the townsfolk, who, once again, found themselves entangled in a spectral web. As the malevolence continued to tighten its grip, Samuel discovered an ancient ritual, a desperate attempt by the manor's former residents to contain the supernatural forces that had taken root within its walls. The ritual, etched in long-forgotten manuscripts, spoke of a ceremony that could either seal the malevolent force or unleash a cataclysmic wave of spectral energy. Faced with limited options, Samuel rallied the townsfolk to partake in the ritual, hoping to tip the balance in favor of salvation. The night of the ritual arrived, and Raven's Hollow transformed into an otherworldly realm. Samuel and the townsfolk, clad in ritualistic attire, gathered in the heart of the manor. The air crackled with supernatural energy as they began the ancient incantations, their voices resonating with the echoes of the past. The veil between worlds wavered, and the malevolent force, sensing the imminent challenge, retaliated with an onslaught of spectral manifestations. As the ritual reached its climax, an ethereal confrontation unfolded. Samuel faced the malevolent force in a battle of wills and ancient magic. Spectral tendrils lashed out, and the very foundations of the manor quivered with the cosmic struggle between the living and the dead. The townsfolk, bound by a shared destiny, channeled their collective energy into the ritual, their fates intertwined with the outcome of the supernatural clash. In the midst of the ethereal confrontation, the realms shattered like fragile glass. Samuel glimpsed fragments of alternate realities, each one a distorted reflection of the town's haunted history. The malevolent force, torn between vengeance and redemption, faced a choice that could tip the balance toward either eternal darkness or a glimmer of ethereal salvation. As the ritual reached its zenith, a cacophony of resonating echoes enveloped the manor. The malevolent force, unable to withstand the combined might of the townsfolk and the ancient incantations, began to dissipate. Spectral energies clashed, and the fractured realities converged into a singular, pulsating realm. The air grew heavy with anticipation, and the townsfolk held their breath, unsure whether they had sealed the malevolence or unleashed a new era of supernatural uncertainty. In the aftermath of the ritual, the once haunted manor stood silent. The malevolent force, banished or transformed, left behind an eerie calm. Samuel, exhausted but determined, surveyed the town. Raven's Hollow, now free from the shackles of the malevolence, faced uncharted horizons. The townsfolk, having confronted the supernatural forces that had ensnared them twice before, wondered whether the ethereal reckoning had finally come to an end, or if the shadows of the past would continue to cast their haunting echoes over the town. Months passed, and Raven's Hollow experienced an uneasy peace. The townsfolk, scared by the haunting reckonings of the past, tried to resume normalcy. Yet, beneath the surface, the echoes of resurgence lingered. Dreams continued to be haunted by spectral visions, and whispers of the malevolence resurfaced in hushed conversations. Samuel, haunted by the mysteries that eluded complete unraveling, couldn't shake the feeling that the supernatural forces were regathering strength. Strange occurrences began to unfold once again. Unseen hands rearranged objects in homes, and spectral apparitions appeared on the outskirts of town. Locals reported feeling an otherworldly presence, a subtle reminder that the supernatural forces, though subdued, had not entirely relinquished their hold on Raven's Hollow. Samuel, sensing the subtle intrusions, resumed his investigations, determined to uncover the source of the renewed disturbances. As Samuel delved into the mysteries, he discovered cryptic messages scattered throughout the town. Ancient symbols etched on walls, whispered incantations carried by the wind, and eerie visions that seemed to beckon him toward an unknown destination. The messages hinted at a deeper layer of the supernatural enigma, a realm beyond the boundaries of Raven's Hollow that held the key to understanding the malevolence's enduring legacy. Guided by the cryptic messages, Samuel unearthed a forgotten chamber beneath the manor, a portal to a dimension that transcended the known realms. The air shimmered with an otherworldly energy as the portal unveiled itself, and a gateway to the unknown beckoned Samuel to step into the abyss. The townsfolk, torn between curiosity and trepidation, watched as their paranormal investigator ventured into the uncharted territory, his fate entwined with the mysteries that awaited beyond. As Samuel crossed the threshold of the portal, he found himself in an ethereal expanse, a dimension where the laws of reality and the supernatural intertwined. Spectral landscapes unfolded before him, and echoes of the town's haunted history reverberated through the boundless void. Samuel, now an interloper in the supernatural tapestry, faced the challenge of navigating the ethereal expanse to uncover the truths that eluded the grasp of the living. In the ethereal expanse, Samuel encountered enigmatic guardians, ethereal beings tasked with safeguarding the delicate balance between worlds. They spoke in riddles, their voices resonating with ancient wisdom. The guardians revealed that the malevolence, once banished from Raven's Hollow, sought to breach the veil between dimensions, using the town as a focal point for supernatural convergence. Samuel, now a guardian in his own right, faced the daunting task of preventing the malevolence from shattering the barriers that separated the realms. The malevolence, sensing Samuel's presence in the ethereal expanse, launched an interdimensional confrontation. Spectral tendrils lashed out, and the boundaries between realities blurred. Samuel, guided by the guardians and fueled by an unwavering resolve, confronted the malevolent force in a cosmic battle that transcended the limitations of mortal understanding. The fate of Raven's Hollow hung in the balance as the interdimensional clash unfolded. In the climactic moments of the confrontation, Samuel, with the guidance of the guardians, harnessed the ethereal energies of the dimension. He channeled the collective will of the townsfolk, whose fates were entwined with the outcome. With a surge of supernatural power, Samuel reinforced the veil between dimensions, sealing the malevolence within its ethereal prison. The spectral forces, thwarted in their resurgence, retreated into the depths of the interdimensional abyss. As Samuel emerged from the ethereal expanse, the portal sealed itself, leaving the manor's forgotten chamber in silent repose. Raven's Hollow, spared from the malevolence's resurgence, underwent a subtle transformation. The town's reality reconfigured itself, and the echoes of the supernatural struggles that had defined its history became distant whispers carried away by the wind. The townsfolk, unaware of the interdimensional confrontation, continued their lives, blissfully ignorant of the cosmic forces that had shaped their town. The quaint coastal town of Eldridge awoke to an ominous murmur carried by the sea breeze. Whispers echoed through the salty air, tales of an ancient sea monster stirring in the depths. Eldridge, dependent on the ocean for its livelihood, dismissed the whispers as the fanciful stories of restless sailors. Little did they know that the monstrous legend was about to surface from the darkest abyss. As the townsfolk carried on with their lives, a series of strange tidal phenomena began to plague Eldridge. Unexplained surges and unpredictable currents disrupted the once predictable rhythm of the ocean. The seasoned fishermen, guardians of the town's maritime legacy, exchanged nervous glances as the sea hinted at a force beyond their understanding. Nightfall brought with it a haunting melody, a siren song that reverberated across the waves. Eldridge, accustomed to the serene sounds of the ocean, now faced an eerie symphony that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to listen. The sea monster, it seemed, communicated through a spectral lament that stirred the waters into a malevolent dance. One fateful morning, the townsfolk awoke to an unsettling sight. The shoreline strewn with abandoned fishing boats. The once bustling harbor, now eerily silent, told a tale of seasoned sailors who had ventured out in pursuit of the elusive catch and never returned. Eldridge, gripped by an uneasy stillness, realized that the sea monster's appetite had claimed its first victims. In the face of mounting terror, Eldridge convened a desperate council to decipher the cryptic warnings and confront the looming threat beneath the waves. The elders, keepers of maritime lore, reluctantly acknowledged the sea monster as a force beyond human comprehension. The town, now haunted by the specter of loss, grappled with the harrowing reality that their lives were entwined with a creature from the darkest depths. As the council delved into Eldridge's maritime archives, they uncovered a forbidden legend, a tale of an ancient sea monster known as Leviathan, a creature said to rise from the abyss in times of grave unrest. The elders, faces etched with trepidation, realized that Eldridge had unwittingly unleashed the Leviathan by disturbing the delicate balance of the ocean. Eldridge, burdened by a cursed legacy, faced a dilemma: to appease the Leviathan, or challenge the wrath of a sea monster whose origins stretched back to the dawn of time. The townsfolk, torn between surrender and defiance, grappled with a fate that seemed inexorably tied to the monstrous force lurking beneath the waves. As Eldridge debated its course of action, the Leviathan's fury intensified. Unprecedented storms lashed the town, and colossal waves threatened to devour the coastline. The sea monster, a colossal silhouette beneath the tumultuous waters, seemed to awaken with an insatiable hunger that resonated with the very heartbeat of the ocean. In a final bid for survival, Eldridge organized a desperate expedition to seek the council of maritime mystics rumored to hold the key to placating the Leviathan. The expedition, braving treacherous waters and haunted by the haunting siren song, ventured into the heart of the storm in pursuit of ancient wisdom that could quell the sea monster's wrath. The maritime mystics, living in isolation on a remote island shrouded in mist, revealed a chilling truth. The Leviathan's awakening was a consequence of Eldridge's insatiable greed for the ocean's bounty. The sea monster, an ancient guardian of the ocean's equilibrium, sought retribution for the imbalance caused by the town's relentless pursuit of maritime treasures. Armed with the mystic's revelation, the expedition returned to Eldridge with a daunting task: to offer a sacrifice to the Leviathan and restore the ocean's balance. The townsfolk, faced with the weight of their choices, grappled with the morality of sacrificing one to save many. Eldridge, haunted by the specter of its own transgressions, prepared for a solemn ritual to appease the monstrous guardian of the abyss. Under a storm-laden sky, Eldridge gathered on the rocky shores to make an ephemeral pact with the Leviathan. The chosen sacrifice, a seasoned fisherman named Jonah, stepped forward with a mixture of resignation and bravery. The townsfolk, holding their breath, witnessed the solemn ceremony as Eldridge sought to mend the frayed bond with the ancient sea monster. As Jonah descended into the abyssal depths, a hushed reverence settled over Eldridge. The Leviathan, its colossal form unseen beneath the churning waves, accepted the sacrifice with an ominous silence. The sea monster's fury, as if sated by the offering, gradually subsided. Eldridge, caught between relief and mourning, watched the ocean regain a semblance of calm as the Leviathan retreated to the darkest depths. In the aftermath of the sacrificial ritual, Eldridge lived under a fragile truce with the Leviathan. The townsfolk, haunted by the memory of their choices, faced the challenge of rebuilding amidst the specter of loss. The sea monster, now a lurking presence in the collective consciousness, left Eldridge to grapple with the delicate balance between human ambition and the ancient forces that govern the ocean. Whispers of the Leviathan's legend persisted, carried by the currents that threaded through Eldridge's maritime history. The sea monster's name became an eerie refrain, a reminder of the town's harrowing encounter with an ancient guardian. Eldridge, forever changed by the events beneath the waves, lived in a paradox where the ocean, once a source of livelihood, became a realm of trepidation and respect. As the years passed, Eldridge established a maritime vigil, a tradition that paid homage to the Leviathan and acknowledged the delicate covenant between the town and the ancient sea monster. Each year, on the anniversary of the sacrificial pact, the townsfolk gathered on the shores to cast flowers into the ocean, a symbolic gesture that served as a reminder of the fragility of their existence in the shadow of the Leviathan's watchful gaze. Yet, despite the maritime vigil, the cyclical ripples of the Leviathan's legend continued to influence Eldridge. The whispers of the sea monster, carried by the wind, wove through the fabric of the town's folklore. The sacrifice of Jonah, now a tragic ballad sung by the elder bards, echoed through the generations, ensuring that the Leviathan's legacy endured as both a cautionary tale and a testament to the ancient forces that shaped Eldridge's destiny. Despite the fragile truce, Eldridge could not shake the ominous rumblings from the abyss. Strange occurrences unfolded. The sea's whispers grew louder, and peculiar markings appeared on the hulls of fishing boats. Eldridge, caught between a desire for prosperity and a growing unease, sensed that the Leviathan's influence lingered, its presence a shadow beneath the waves. Eldridge's fishermen, returning from their ventures at sea, reported sightings of cryptic symbols etched onto the seafloor. The maritime mystics, consulted once again, deciphered the symbols as warnings, signs that the Leviathan's wrath simmered beneath the surface, dissatisfied with the town's attempts to appease it. Eldridge faced a dilemma: either delve into the mysteries of the symbols or risk awakening a renewed fury. A daring few in Eldridge, fueled by a mix of curiosity and desperation, embarked on a forbidden expedition to explore the underwater symbols. Armed with ancient knowledge and a determination to understand the Leviathan's cryptic language, they descended into the ocean's depths. The sea, once a source of livelihood, now held secrets that challenged the very fabric of Eldridge's existence. As the expedition ventured into the submerged enigma, they discovered a hidden cavern adorned with intricate carvings, a shrine that revealed the Leviathan's ancient history. Eldridge, through the glyphs, learned that the sea monster's discontent stemmed from a forgotten promise made by the town's founders, a pact that bound future generations to the Leviathan's watchful gaze. Eldridge, burdened by the weight of a cursed covenant, realized that appeasing the Leviathan was not enough. The sea monster, an ancient guardian betrayed by the town's ancestors, demanded the fulfillment of the forgotten promise. The townsfolk, now tasked with navigating a web of ancestral oaths, grappled with the unsettling truth that their fate was entwined with the Leviathan's ancient legacy. As the truth of the ancestral pact unraveled, Eldridge identified the descendants of the original promise makers. The reluctant heirs, burdened by the sins of their forebears, faced a choice: either break the cursed covenant and risk the Leviathan's unbridled fury, or honor the forgotten promise and navigate a path bound by ancient obligations. Eldridge, propelled by a blend of necessity and ancestral duty, convened an ancestral convergence, a gathering of the reluctant heirs to confront the Leviathan's legacy. The sea monster's ominous presence loomed as the descendants, each marked by the weight of their lineage, grappled with the moral implications of a promise made in a bygone era. In a solemn ceremony, the reluctant heirs acknowledged the Leviathan's claim to the forgotten promise. Eldridge, standing on the precipice of an abyssal reckoning, braced for the sea monster's response. The ocean's currents shifted, and the Leviathan's colossal form rose from the depths, its gaze both ancient and unforgiving. The town, now entangled in a dance with the Leviathan's wrath, awaited the consequences of an ancestral covenant. With the Leviathan's presence felt more keenly than ever, Eldridge sought a path of redemption. The reluctant heirs, burdened by the ancestral covenant, embarked on a quest to uncover the means of appeasing the ancient sea monster without perpetuating the sins of their forebears. The town, standing at the precipice of a tidal reckoning, yearned for a chance at redemption amidst the swirling currents of fate. Guided by the maritime mystics, the reluctant heirs discovered a forgotten ritual, a sacred ceremony that, if performed with sincerity and humility, had the potential to quell the Leviathan's unrest. Eldridge, gripped by a fragile hope, prepared for the ritual that would test the town's resolve to break the cycle of ancestral obligations. As the ritual commenced, Eldridge became a stage for a tidal symphony, a harmonious dance between the town's inhabitants and the Leviathan's ancient energies. The sea monster, its colossal form submerged beneath the waves, seemed to respond to the sincerity of Eldridge's intentions. The town, its fate entwined with the Leviathan's legacy, braced for the culmination of the ritual's transformative power. With each sacred incantation, the Leviathan's presence shifted from a force of wrath to a guardian of the submerged depths. The sea monster, its gaze softened by the town's earnest efforts, embraced Eldridge in a spectral communion. The waters, once tumultuous, gradually subsided into a serene calm, leaving the town to bask in the newfound tranquility that emanated from the Leviathan's subdued depths. Eldridge, having navigated the treacherous waters of redemption, entered into a tenuous truce with the Leviathan. The sea monster, now a guardian reconciled with the town's sincerity, retreated into the unseen depths, leaving behind a legacy of transformation. The reluctant heirs, relieved of the weight of ancestral obligations, faced an uncertain future where the tides of redemption coexisted with the echoes of Eldridge's tumultuous history. In the wake of the transformative ritual, Eldridge embraced a newfound nautical harmony. The sea, once a source of unrest, became a testament to the town's ability to break free from the shackles of ancestral sins. The reluctant heirs, having played a pivotal role in Eldridge's redemption, found solace in the knowledge that the Leviathan's legacy had shifted from a curse to a guardian's watchful gaze. As Eldridge sailed through the resilient currents of its altered fate, whispers of the Leviathan's legend persisted. The sea monster, now a benevolent force in the town's maritime folklore, became a symbol of Eldridge's resilience and capacity for transformation. The once cursed covenant, tempered by the sincerity of redemption, left an indelible mark on the coastal town's destiny. With Eldridge's redemption etched into the annals of maritime lore, the town faced uncharted horizons. The Leviathan's legacy, once a specter of dread, transformed into a beacon of guidance. Eldridge, eager to embrace a future untethered from the shadows of the past, set sail towards unexplored territories, both within the sea and the collective heart of its inhabitants. As Eldridge ventured into uncharted waters, the seafarers of the town found solace in a reverie of exploration. The Leviathan, now a benevolent guardian, seemed to guide their vessels through uncharted currents. Eldridge, once bound by the weight of ancestral sins, reveled in the newfound freedom to chart its destiny, fueled by the winds of redemption and the Leviathan's watchful gaze. Eldridge, buoyed by the Leviathan's blessing, envisioned a maritime utopia, a haven where the delicate balance between human endeavors and ancient forces harmonized. The town's architecture reflected this vision, with structures adorned with symbols that paid homage to the sea monster's transformative legacy. Eldridge, a beacon of unity and redemption, radiated a newfound prosperity that echoed through the waves. Amidst the maritime utopia, Eldridge discovered a mysterious artifact, a relic bestowed by the Leviathan. The artifact, pulsating with ancient energies, seemed to bridge the gap between the town's inhabitants and the sea monster's benevolent influence. Eldridge, embracing the gift, found that it granted the town's seafarers unparalleled insight into the ebb and flow of the ocean's mysteries. Eldridge's relationship with the Leviathan evolved into a sea-bound harmony, a delicate dance between mortal endeavors and ancient forces. The town's festivals, once tinged with trepidation, transformed into celebrations that honored the Leviathan's blessing. Eldridge, guided by the relic's enigmatic energies, lived in tandem with the ocean's rhythms, perpetuating a legacy of unity and respect for the sea's unseen depths. The relic, now a symbol of Eldridge's symbiotic accord with the Leviathan, became a central focus of the town's maritime rituals. The inhabitants, in communion with the artifact, felt the sea monster's presence as a benevolent guide. Eldridge, forever changed by the Leviathan's transformative legacy, basked in the glow of a destiny shaped by the delicate balance between ancestral echoes and the aspirations of the present. In a solemn ceremony, Eldridge formalized an eternal pact with the Leviathan. The artifact, serving as a conduit between the town and the sea monster, sealed the accord with energies that resonated through the ocean's depths. Eldridge, now forever intertwined with the Leviathan's legacy, lived under the auspices of a pact that transcended the boundaries of time, ensuring a perpetuity of harmony and understanding. In the heart of the mist-shrouded mountains lay the small town of Raven's Hollow, a place where shadows seemed to linger a moment too long. The townsfolk, though warm and welcoming, bore the weight of an unspoken unease. Whispers of a dark past haunted the narrow streets, and the air carried a palpable tension that settled like a heavy fog over the community. As the days unfolded, Raven's Hollow witnessed an unsettling trend. Residents began to vanish without a trace. At first, it was dismissed as mere coincidence, but the growing number of disappearances cast a chilling pall over the town. Fear clung to the air, and the once bustling community now lived in a state of perpetual dread. The townsfolk spoke of the haunted woods that bordered Raven's Hollow, a place where ancient legends intertwined with unsettling truths. Whispers of malevolent spirits and vengeful apparitions echoed through the tales passed down through generations. As the disappearances continued, the townspeople found themselves reluctantly considering the possibility that something far more sinister than mere coincidence lurked within the shadowed embrace of the woods. Amidst the growing fear, an enigmatic stranger arrived in Raven's Hollow. Cloaked in darkness and bearing an aura of mystery, the stranger claimed to possess knowledge of the malevolent force that gripped the town. With cryptic warnings, they urged the residents to confront the haunted woods and unravel the ancient secrets buried within. Guided by the stranger's cryptic instructions, a group of townsfolk ventured into the haunted woods under the cover of midnight. Armed with flickering lanterns, they navigated through the dense foliage, their footsteps muffled by the eerie silence that enveloped the ancient trees. Unearthly whispers danced through the shadows as the group approached a clearing, the epicenter of the town's dark history. In the moonlit clearing, the group uncovered an ancient burial site. The graves, weathered by time, bore the names of Raven's Hollow's founding families. As they delved deeper, the townsfolk unearthed a sinister revelation, a pact made by the town's founders with a malevolent entity in exchange for prosperity. The haunting force, displeased with the town's modernization and forgetting of the Dark Covenant, sought retribution through the vanishing residents. The group, now burdened with the weight of ancestral sins, realized that the malevolent force had awakened, a vengeful spirit seeking to reclaim what was owed. The enigmatic stranger revealed themselves to be a guardian, tasked with guiding the town towards redemption. Together, they faced the daunting task of appeasing the vengeful spirit before Raven's Hollow succumbed to the darkness that lurked within its history. As the town united to break the cursed covenant, an ominous countdown began. The vengeful spirit, unleashed from its restless slumber, manifested in chilling apparitions and ghostly whispers. Raven's Hollow, now a battleground between the living and the vengeful dead, braced for a final confrontation that would determine its fate. In a desperate attempt to quell the vengeful spirit's wrath, the townsfolk performed a ritual to break the cursed covenant. The ancient words reverberated through the haunted woods as the enigmatic stranger chanted incantations meant to appease the malevolent force. The air grew thick with tension, and the temperature plummeted as the ritual reached its climax. As the final incantation echoed through the clearing, a surge of otherworldly energy swept through Raven's Hollow. The vengeful spirit, trapped between realms, let out an agonizing wail before dissipating into the ether. The curse that had plagued the town for generations shattered, leaving behind a haunting silence that resonated through the woods. In the aftermath of the ritual, a peculiar calm settled over Raven's Hollow. The townsfolk, Their nerves still tingling with the residual energy of the supernatural encounter, cautiously resumed their daily lives. Yet the woods retained an otherworldly aura, a constant reminder of the spectral forces that had gripped the town for so long. Although the vengeful spirit had been banished, its spectral remnants lingered in the periphery of Raven's Hollow. Shadows danced along the edges of vision, and distant whispers carried an unsettling resonance. Some claimed to see ghostly apparitions at the edge of the haunted woods, and a prevailing sense of unease settled over the town, as if the supernatural had left an indelible mark on Raven's Hollow. In the wake of the ritual, artifacts from the cursed covenant surfaced, ancient relics imbued with the malevolent energy of the vengeful spirit. The townsfolk, torn between the desire to rid themselves of the remnants and the fear of rekindling the supernatural forces, grappled with the decision of what to do with these cursed objects that seemed to pulse with an eerie life of their own. As Raven's Hollow tried to move beyond its haunted history, cryptic symbols began to appear once more. Townsfolk discovered strange markings etched onto the remnants of the cursed artifacts, as if the vengeful spirit sought to communicate from the ethereal realm. The symbols, indecipherable yet hauntingly familiar, reignited a sense of foreboding within the community. A sense of unfinished business pervaded Raven's Hollow. The enigmatic stranger, whose purpose seemed fulfilled with the banishment of the vengeful spirit, left behind a lingering mystery. The townsfolk, compelled by an insatiable curiosity and a desire for closure, embarked on a quest to uncover the stranger's origins and the secrets they had brought to the small town. In pursuit of answers, a group of townsfolk ventured beyond Raven's Hollow. They traced the mysterious stranger's path, navigating through neighboring towns and consulting ancient archives. The journey led them to forgotten tales of arcane rituals, curses, and long-lost knowledge that hinted at a broader, interconnected tapestry of supernatural occurrences stretching across the mist-shrouded mountains. As the group delved deeper into the mysteries of the supernatural, they encountered an eerie phenomenon: the whispering wind. A haunting breeze carried fragmented messages from the ethereal realm, guiding them towards an ancient burial ground atop the mist-shrouded mountains. The townsfolk, undeterred by the supernatural forces at play, followed the ethereal whispers, their steps guided by the unseen hands of fate. At the mountain's summit, the group discovered a forgotten tomb, the final resting place of the vengeful spirit's earthly form. The crypt, adorned with symbols reminiscent of those etched in Raven's Hollow, held the key to unraveling the enigma that lingered over the town. As they delved into the tomb's depths, the secrets of the vengeful spirit's origins began to unfurl. Within the forgotten tomb, the townsfolk unearthed the vengeful spirit's tragic origins. It was revealed to be a soul wronged by Raven's Hollow's founders, a victim of betrayal and dark rituals. The malevolent force, driven by a thirst for justice, had become a harbinger of retribution, bound to the small town by the ancient covenant. The townsfolk, now burdened with the knowledge of the spirit's tortured past, faced a moral dilemma: how to reconcile with the sins of their forebears and grant the vengeful soul the peace it had been denied for centuries. Armed with newfound understanding, the townsfolk returned to Raven's Hollow to confront the ethereal forces that lingered. The cursed artifacts, still pulsating with the vengeful spirit's energy, became conduits for communication with the otherworldly realm. Through a series of intricate rituals, the townsfolk sought to forge a connection with the vengeful spirit and negotiate a final resolution, one that would bring closure to both the restless soul and the haunted town. As the townsfolk conducted the intricate rituals, a tenuous connection formed between the earthly realm and the vengeful spirit. The ethereal negotiation unfolded in a surreal dance of symbols and whispers. The townsfolk, guided by the cryptic knowledge acquired on their journey, pleaded for mercy and understanding from the tormented soul. In return, they offered acts of contrition and a commitment to rectify the ancestral wrongs that had bound the spirit to Raven's Hollow. In the throes of the ethereal negotiation, the vengeful spirit's spectral form wavered between wrath and forgiveness. The townsfolk, their intentions laid bare in the metaphysical realm, witnessed the spirit's transformation. Shades of forgiveness flickered in its luminous eyes as the weight of centuries of anger began to dissipate. The ethereal reckoning teetered on the brink of a resolution that held the promise of redemption for both the spirit and the small town. As the negotiation reached its zenith, a surreal calm settled over Raven's Hollow. The vengeful spirit, its spectral form now translucent and ethereal, surrendered the curse that had bound it to the town. The cursed artifacts, once pulsating with malevolent energy, lost their eerie glow. The townsfolk, bathed in the aftermath of the ethereal reckoning, felt the weight of the supernatural forces lift from their shoulders. With the curse surrendered, Raven's Hollow underwent a profound transformation. The shadows that had clung to the town's history began to dissipate, and a subdued calm settled over the once haunted streets. The lingering specters that had haunted the woods and whispered in the winds seemed to retreat into the recesses of memory, leaving behind a town forever changed by the ethereal reckoning. In the days that followed, the townsfolk of Raven's Hollow noticed a gradual fading of the supernatural remnants. The cryptic symbols etched onto artifacts and whispered by the wind became echoes of a bygone era. The ethereal negotiation, with its weighty revelations and resolutions, left behind a town ready to embark on a new chapter, one free from the haunting legacy that had gripped Raven's Hollow for centuries. Despite the newfound tranquility, Raven's Hollow couldn't entirely shake the echoes of its haunted past. The ethereal reckoning left behind a town still grappling with the residue of supernatural occurrences. Whispers persisted in quiet corners, and occasionally, a spectral figure would flicker at the edge of vision, a lingering reminder of the ethereal journey that had unfolded. The townsfolk, determined to break free from the last vestiges of the curse, embarked on a mission to shatter the ancestral chains that bound them. They delved into the town's archives, unearthing forgotten histories and unraveling the secrets of their forebears. As they confronted the sins of the past, the community discovered a shared strength in facing the darkest corners of Raven's Hollow. The unraveling of ancestral chains revealed truths both harrowing and liberating. Tales of betrayal, forbidden pacts, and unspeakable rituals came to light. The town, once burdened by the weight of untold secrets, now faced the challenge of reconciling with a history stained by the supernatural. The townsfolk, united in their quest for redemption, sought to rewrite the narrative that had bound Raven's Hollow for generations. With the truth laid bare, Raven's Hollow became a beacon of redemption. The townsfolk, guided by a collective desire to forge a new legacy, embarked on projects to commemorate their newfound understanding. Monuments rose in memory of those wronged by the ancient curse, and rituals were held to honor the spirits that had long lingered in the shadows. The town square, once a place of silent unease, now echoed with the laughter of children playing freely. As Raven's Hollow transformed, a palpable sense of unity permeated the community. The townsfolk, having weathered the storms of the supernatural, celebrated their shared resilience. Festivals were held in honor of the ethereal reckoning, acknowledging the journey that had brought the town together. The haunted woods, once a source of fear, became a communal space where the townspeople gathered to share stories, laughter, and a newfound sense of camaraderie. The enigmatic stranger, though absent from Raven's Hollow, left behind an indelible legacy. Tales of their mysterious arrival, cryptic guidance, and pivotal role in the ethereal reckoning became woven into the town's folklore. A statue erected in their honor stood as a testament to the stranger's enigmatic presence, a figure forever tied to the supernatural journey that had reshaped Raven's Hollow. With the town's history rewritten and the supernatural forces subdued, Raven's Hollow faced uncharted futures. The mist-shrouded mountains, once a symbol of mystery and dread, now beckoned with the promise of untold possibilities. The townsfolk, having navigated the tumultuous waters of the ethereal reckoning, stood on the threshold of a future shaped by the choices they made in the aftermath of the supernatural saga.